How's everybody doing this morning? Good. I'm glad everybody's here. We'll go ahead and kind of get started with the opening of the program, and then we'll get our folks to start doing their presentations. Be sure and sign in. I think you probably want to make sure you have the little ticket for some of our giveaways. Grab some food, please. You'll notice on your tables you have an agenda. You should have an agenda. And then, or the agenda of the meeting, and then you'll also have some of our magnets, and we put these out here, just they're good at marketing for our Fix-It program. Most of y'all are aware of it or familiar with it, but this is just some of the things that we give out at, we give a lot of these to students throughout the year. Anytime we do any kind of resource table, we use these a lot. And then we came up with one that was a little calendar, but also it talks about how you can self-report by using Fix-It. So one thing I want to ask all of our presenters, we need to, I know that when we present, sometimes we like to sort of roam, which is okay, except that it doesn't, for recording purposes, we want to make sure that we pick up everything you say. So please stand as close to the mic or as comfortably close to the mic as you can. This one is a little weird because it sounds like at one point I think I can hear myself and then it sounds like I drop off, but that may not be what y'all hear. At any rate, they've asked us to please kind of stick close to the mic. One of these days we may get a lavalier mic or something so that people who do like to work the room will be able to do that. But without further ado, thank you again for coming. This is the April 28th Building Coordinator Quarterly Meeting. I'm Jackie Vargas. I'm here representing facilities. I'm the director of this program. And then, of course, up at the table we have our four wonderful communication students and our wonderful Jennifer Ray, who really communicates a lot with y'all, I know. So let me go ahead and let's get us started. Make sure you have signed in, and like I said, grab something to eat. And so we'll go ahead and get started. So first up, we've got the fire alarm and shelter in place. We've got Chris McDonald, our fire marshal, and Ginger Walker to come kind of give us some more information that's always valuable. Thank you.
Perfect. Good morning. So I'm going to try to stay close to the mic. Actually, I'm going to go first, and then Chris is going to go second. But one of the things that we wanted to talk about today is, and I'm a roamer, so this is very hard for me to stay contained in one place. If you know me, I'm like all over the place. We're going to talk about the recent sirens that have gone off, and we've had some shelter in places during some tornado warnings. There's still questions out there. People are still confused, and they still don't know what to do. So we want to make sure that we cover it again. And there is a poster on pretty much every one of the tables. It's on our website. Please print off the new poster and post it near your exits. It's very important. It tells you what to do. Not only does it tell you what to do, but we have other resources that tell you what to do. So for those of you that are unsure, when we have an outdoor warning siren that's sounded, it will sound when any emergency where it's unsafe to be outdoors and require you to seek immediate shelter. That's what it's for. So for recently, we've had it for tornadoes. And obviously, you want to seek shelter indoors, right? And why do we not hear the siren when we're inside? Yay! Okay, gold star to this side of the room. You guys step it up a little bit. All right, so whenever we do have a tornado warning or there's a different kind of warning coming out, let's say maybe hazardous, chemicals or something like that coming this way, we'll send out an email via the UH alert. And guess what? That email is going to tell you exactly what to do. It is, right here. It's going to tell you to seek shelter indoors immediately in an interior room on the lowest level away from windows, right? It's important. Remind your folks about this. This is what they don't understand. Individuals are still walking around outside. They're still looking out the window to see if maybe they can see the tornado coming. They're outside the door, opening the door just to see, well, maybe I can get a quick glimpse and then I'll run inside. We're not storm chasers. Seek shelter indoors into an interior location away from windows and doors. Okay, so if you need to remind them, here's the email to do so. Don't use mine, use yours. No, I'm just kidding. So here's the poster that we talked about. Please use this poster. It's been updated since about, maybe about 3 years ago. This one's it's been out there for a while, but we've got our new logo on there. Oh, and by the way, the poster tells you exactly what to do. Seek shelter indoors. Check your email and text. Priority, right, from the UH Alert. And also go to the website. It also tells you what to do. There's a whole piece on our website that talks about what to do when you hear the siren. When you go to the website, we'll show you in a second where you would go. All right, so for those of you that are kind of not sure where the sirens are because you may be on a far piece of campus. Of course, you won't hear it at ERP because it's not on campus, right? But this is where we have our sirens on campus. Let's see if the system will allow me to play the tone for you. Whoopsie. No, but that's okay. You can always go to our website. Let's see, maybe. If you can't, that's okay. You can go to our website. It also has the tone. If you're in a group setting, you can play that tone for everybody and say, hey, what are we supposed to do when we hear this? You know, it's a good test, right? All right, so the other thing to remember is that we test the siren once a month. It's the first Wednesday of every month at 1 o'clock. It's not changed the entire time that we've been testing the siren. So if you hear it going off and you look at your watch, it's 1 p.m. and it's the first Wednesday of the month and you got the email earlier in the day, you know that it's only a test, right? If it's not during that time period, what are we going to do? Shelter in place. Okay. And don't forget that you're not going to hear it outside. Inside. So if you're inside a building and you don't hear it, that's probably because it's an outdoor warning siren system, right? And then remind everybody in the building about seeking shelter. The reason we're bringing this to y'all's attention is because we need you to communicate that information to the occupants of your building. We need to make sure that as many people get the information as possible. That's what we're trying to do. So if you have a setting where you meet with a group, or you can just push out a quick email as a reminder, please do that. If you have a review that you do once a month, or I know some have an actual newsletter of sorts, throw it in there. So if you get a chance to do that, please do. All right, one item I wanted to mention, and I'm almost done, and then it's Chris's turn, is our Building Emergency Response Plan template. Within this template, there are various kind of checklists that you go through the process with your building to determine where you might be sort of a gathering point in the event of something like this. Also, it talks about fire alarms and what you need to do when you hear a fire alarm, where the exits are. It's got lots of different tools like that within this template, so we encourage you to maybe use this template to kind of take yourself through the process as a building. Also, you see on your left, if you look just 2 down from that bar where it says Building Emergency Response Plan Template, it'll say UH Outdoor Warning Siren System. That's where you can find that flyer that we put on the table. You can also find information about the siren, and also there's a place where you can click to find out what you're supposed to do to shelter in place. So please share this information with everybody in your building. I'm begging you. All right. You're up. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Shelter in place for the tornado, there was a question on computers and whether or not they have to be off or on.
Oh, not that I'm aware of, so, yeah. The only thing you need to do is just get up and walk to an interior part of your building away from windows and doors. That's it. Yep. And check your email, right? Yeah?
So, I have a question.
Yes.
If we get
Yes.
an alert from the NCS system for UH does, so some of us got alerts on our cell phones saying there's a tornado warning in our area.
I'm sorry, the NCS? Down here.
And then maybe it's NWS, National Weather Service.
Oh, yes,
So if we get an alert on our phones
Mm-hmm.
through the cell carriers, should we treat that as a UH alert?
well, no, because that's not a UH alert. But when we get it as just when you get it. So when we get it from the National Weather Service, you're getting it at the exact same time, so am I. So as soon as it comes to us, we're already sitting there waiting because we know that it's potentially coming. So as soon as that alert comes out, we are in the system prepared to send out the UH alert. But of course, it does take, it takes a second for us to get to that point. But by all means, we wouldn't want to stop you from doing that. We wouldn't want, if you get it from the National Weather Service, we wouldn't want to stop you. But they're not, don't treat them as exactly the same, because we could send out a UH alert for something else, outside of a tornado warning.
Right, but
Yeah.
if we get a National Weather Service, we should follow its directions and start implementing shelter in place, even if we haven't gotten the UH alert.
It certainly wouldn't hurt. Yeah, because the other thing to consider here and to remember is, and I want to be careful about the way I say yes to that, because some of us have our National Weather Service set up on our phones for our home zip code. We have it set up for where our children go to college. We have it set up for where your daughter goes to the University of Florida. So keep that in mind when you're considering that, because you may be getting an alert on your phone where your daughter or son is going to the college in College Station. Well, it's not here yet. And if we're actually getting notifications for Tomball, we don't want to create an alert here if we don't have a hazardous situation. So if you're going to do that, you need to make sure you're educated on how to do that. The UH alert is the for sure way to know that the hazard is actually coming to the campus and you do need to seek shelter. Yes? Sure.
Do you know during orientation, is this information given to the students? During student orientation? Mm-hmm. Sure is.
There's a slide on it. Yeah. Yeah. Are you guys not seeing that, or?
No, I mean, it's just that, just like you said, when it goes off, you still see them wandering around.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, we're seeing, it's not one specific group. We're seeing faculty, staff, students, and visitors wandering around.
So nobody is, the one group or person. Everybody is walking around. And I think, the testing of it's something that people don't even look to see, oh, well, I guess they're testing, But if it looks hazardous outside, probably not, so it's something to think about. But yeah, and we try to do what we call our road show for the siren. We try to present and share it with anybody that we can. So if there's a group or area that you think really needs to have the information, then let us know. Yeah. 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 Hey.
We had a question at our table.
Okay.
As faculty and staff, we see other people walking around here, not that we would be out, but we hear the alarm.
Why are you out there, Mike?
I wasn't. There was a question at the table.
Sounds like you was. What was Mike supposed to be doing?
Stay home. I was going to my shelter and I saw other people.
Right, yeah.
But
But short answer, absolutely.
If you see anybody outside, you should be telling them to seek shelter. I mean, I'm not saying you guys need to be the shelter police, but I definitely would encourage folks to, let's go. Come on, what are you doing? You hear that? That means we need to go in, And I know there are actually some buildings where I do know people are in the building going around saying, let's go. This is the direction we're going, or they've even assigned someone at the end of a hallway that says, okay, I'm the person that says, let's go, we're on our way. It's kind of like the idea of helping somebody who has some ADA restrictions that keeps them from going downstairs, that there's a person who's assigned to help them, or go down to the fire marshal and say, we got somebody upstairs. It's the same kind of idea. So yeah, implement those things in your building, Mike. Yeah, you're welcome.
It was more for staff if they're out.
Yeah, I'm totally kidding. Yeah.
We had something similar here with the last tornado warning. I don't want any kind of authority or policing, I'm not saying that, but we had some faculty who said, it's only 10 minutes to leave the class. We have to leave the windowed off classrooms. And we said, we're suggesting you do, and they said, oh, we'll be out in 10 minutes.
Well, that,
We can't make them leave.
Yeah, and I mean, We can't make
the faculty member leave, but we can certainly allow the students to get up and leave, right? So it's an individual choice to get up and leave, but making the decision to hold a group with windows and doors around is it's unsafe. It's simply unsafe. So, we want to hopefully, with each of you, you can bring this information back, encouraging people and reminding them how important it is to seek shelter. But yeah, that's a problem, and if there's a way for you to address it delicately, I would definitely encourage you to do so. Put some more posters up. Yeah. Anything else? Okay, don't hesitate to contact me if you have questions. Do you need my cheat?
Good morning. I like to walk around too, so I'll try not to. A couple of things we want to talk about with fire alarms. Whenever we respond to a fire alarm in a building, I usually have 1 or 2 or 10 people ask me if it's a fire drill. It doesn't matter if it's a fire alarm or fire drill. Everybody needs to get out, even if there's 10 minutes of class left. They should be getting out. The difference is with a fire drill, we're going to talk to you guys, the building coordinators, and coordinate having a drill in your facility. We try to do 8 a year in non-residential facilities. Residential, we do them every semester. Non-residential, we try to get 8 a year. A fire alarm, they're going to be activated by a pull station, usually a pull station, a smoke detector or heat detector. If you see on the bottom picture, you'll see the pull station there with a plastic case on it. In case you didn't know, that plastic case is to stop people from maliciously pulling the alarm. So when you lift that plastic case, it's going to make an alarm sound right at the pull station. That does not set off the fire alarm. If the lights aren't going off and the speakers aren't talking to you, the alarm's not off. So for your benefit and for the benefit of those who may really have a fire, once you have to lift that plastic case and then pull the alarm. There's 2 different types of evacuations that the fire alarm systems here at the university do. Selective and general. General evacuation, like here at Farish, if the smoke detector in here goes off, then all the horns and strobes go off and everybody gets out. Selective evacuation is different. We usually use these in our high-rise buildings. So it's going to alarm on the floor that the fire alarm went off on, the floor below, and the floor above. So if I'm at Health and Bio 1 and I'm on the elevator, I'm going to the 6th floor and there's a fire alarm on the 4th floor, it's going to ring on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floor. If I'm riding the elevator, as I pass those floors, I'm going to hear the fire alarm going off. That doesn't mean you need to evacuate. If you want to evacuate, you can. The reason being is these buildings have more robust construction than some of our other buildings. They're designed to compartmentalize the occupants to keep them safe. You see this picture with this firefighter? This was from the World Trade Center. If everybody's trying to get out of the building when the firefighters are trying to get in, that's what you have. You have a big traffic jam. So we're trying to avoid that. But again, if you feel like you want to get out, if it's not alarming on your floor, please make sure you do that. Okay, there's 2 different types of smoke alarms or smoke detectors. The kind we use here at the university are photoelectric. As you can see from the picture, there's a light source at the top, and it shoots a beam of light to the light catcher at the bottom. Whenever there's smoke or anything else that disturbs that beam, it disrupts that beam, and that beam goes to the photo cell, and it completes the circuit and sets off the alarm. So it could be smoke, could be steam, could be dust. There's a lot of different things that will set it off. No matter what the cause is for the alarm going off, if the alarm's going off, people need to get out of the building. It's not a drill, it's a fire alarm, okay, until we make sure it's not anything. Any questions, comments, concerns? No? I guess I told them everything they needed. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris and Ginger. That's always very helpful, especially when we have new people as they get added to our campus and to the building coordinator program. It's always helpful to have that emergency information. Next up, we're actually going to do a little facilities segment here. We're going to introduce the 3 directors, interim directors that we have working in facilities services. A lot of them, I'm sure you probably have interacted with all of them, and so Liliana, would you please come up? And Mike, would you please come up? And you have to do the walk of shame. I just want to make sure everybody kind of knows who you are. And there's Mr. Bogna. Just don't fall down the stairs. Yes. Yeah, hey. I don't see those guys. Either one of them were in heels, so I'm pretty not today.
They tried.
So all of these 3 musketeers, Jennifer and I refer to them as the triumvirate. They really give great direction and leadership to facility services. We have a position for executive director still, and we're looking for a candidate for that, or we'd like to hire one. But in the interim, these 3 have done a phenomenal job. They continue to do a phenomenal job. So on the end here, we have Mike Wheeler. And he's our interim director of operations. Oh, thank you. Interim director of operations, and he is also, in my mind, he's sort of Mr. Central Plant. He keeps the plant running, keeps it up, is doing a lot of really cool projects and things related to optimization of the central plant, so that keeps him very busy. In the middle here, we have Jerry Bogna. He's the interim director of maintenance. He keeps all of the maintenance things going, and he gets to deal with, all 3 of them get to do and deal with unique situations. If you don't mind, I was gonna share the one about we have to put some no trespassing signs up on some property. You know, it's just like there's always something. It's never a dull moment in facilities. And then last but not least is Liliana Simmons. She's our interim director of Central Facility Services. She keeps the bugs clear, the rats clear, no, she's over pest control, grounds, custodial. And y'all are welcome to, if you'd like to come up and say something, you're more than welcome to, but we definitely wanted to make sure, I'm sure all of y'all have probably interacted with them. You've seen them here at the building coordinator meetings. But I just thought it would be nice if we made sure y'all knew that their current roles. Liliana stepped into the interim directorship of facility services when Carlos Villarreal retired, but she was already a great helper in many, many ways. So do y'all have any questions for them? I think here's your opportunity. If you have questions you'd like to ask or suggestions.
Thank you. That's good. Now, we're, go ahead.
You want the mic?
No, go ahead.
Good. I actually wanted to thank all of you for being so patient with us, because sometimes you don't hear back from us as soon as you're expecting us to answer to your questions or emails or phone calls. And especially for some of my groups, custodial and solid waste, we have a lot of challenges that we are running into, but we really, really appreciate all your support. Because we know we're not doing as well as we should do. And so we're working, we're trying. It's not that we are not doing our job or we are ignoring you or we don't care about it. It's just certain challenges that we all know we run into with the staff shortage and all the other stuff that's history. But thank you so much for your support and your understanding. Thank you.
That's it.
Liliana said it very well. Just like to thank everybody for patience with us as we go through a little bit of organizational change. Again, the goal is to help all of you get what you need from us. So we're here for you. Again, like Liliana said, sometimes you may not hear back as quick as you'd like. You can call us. I know that the people that I've worked with know that once you get a hold of one of us, we're going to follow it through. we understand that we're here to keep the university functioning. And so that's our intention, given all the resources that we can get. And we intend to keep doing a better job of that. So thank you all.
They both said that you can call them, so call them, leave me out of it.
Extension 35719.
I just want to add to that, thanks back to y'all, because I know the long, hard hours you put in and how you come in for a day and probably what you had on your agenda to do, it's gone. It's gone. But those things you had on your daily task, the things that you had to take care of, still have to get done. So how y'all do it, I don't know, but we look to them every single day. And like I said, they are our triumvirate now. And we shortened it to try. But it's just, they've been doing a great job, and as I said, there's never, ever a dull moment. So I would like to thank y'all for all that y'all do. And thank you for letting us put you on the spot. Awesome, thank y'all. Thanks. Unless you had did anybody have any questions for them? Because I'm shooshing them off. Matt?
Do you have an interim, chart so that we know if we have a problem in a certain area, who to go up the chart to?
We're still working on an interim chart of the interims.
We do have an organizational chart, and I think David Oliver has it out there with just those boxes.
Okay.
And the names actually aren't in there.
Okay.
But we're also in the process of reorganizing from our departments down.
Okay.
So that part hasn't been released, but the actual organization with the 3 interims and the departments that report to us, we have that organization. We just don't have names in the boxes.
Okay, thanks. That'll work.
But it'll tell you who to contact for different services. It's just like that one. It's on the back of the napkin. Yes. Now, we have one that David can publish, I think.
Actually, could we have that one when you're through, and we'll post it?
And I will say that right now, so if you don't know exactly all of the areas that fall underneath them, you could contact any of the 3 of them, and they will definitely punt and pass it on to the appropriate one. It's very much a team effort, I would say. They have their areas of expertise and their focus areas, but they all 3 pitch in and help each other. So.
And please don't take it that we're passing it off to someone else, but if you call me about something that's in Jerry's realm, I'll contact Jerry and let him know, but copy you on those communications. And that's all we're doing right now until we get this squared away. So please understand that. We're not trying to push it off to each other. It's just, that's his area of expertise. I don't want to step into it and let him manage what he needs to manage.
The goal is to get everybody the most effective help as soon as possible.
Yep.
So that's how that happens for us.
And of course, we encourage you to contact Fix-It.
You're welcome to contact them directly, but if it's something that, is an issue you have, definitely always contact them if you need to. You can always contact myself or Jennifer. We get requests for, hey, Jackie or Jennifer, could you help point me in the right direction? But we've got a very active and busy call center, which is what staffs the Fix-It call line. So please, you all know that. You know to always contact Fix-It as well. And one way or the other, it will get taken care of, and hopefully in as quick a time as possible. But if something you feel falls through the cracks, falls through the floor, through cracks, let us know, because we do, I don't know how many total work orders we have. I think it's around, 4,000 or 5,000 work orders a month that are coming in. And that's both corrective and preventive maintenance as well. So we stay fairly busy, but that's good. All right, thank y'all so much, I appreciate it. Let's see. Okay, so next up, we have Dean Ruck, who's one of our senior project managers in facilities planning and construction. He's going to come talk to you about actually a couple of projects. One is the Cougar Substation, which he's presented before, and then the exterior door locks project. He'll be joined by Ron Harris and Richard Day, but both big programs, big projects that are going on, so he's going to give you an update.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. I want to give you some updates on the Cougar, the electrical substation that we're doing expansion on. I think I reported on that the previous building coordinators meeting, so I just want to give you an update and let you know about some outages And I'm going to drive here. That's a little bit hard to read, but this is just my agenda for today. A quick update on the substation. We're the ones that are sort of tearing up a good part of campus, particularly on the south side and ERP. We're moving along as best we can. We've had a lot of unforeseen conditions underground, a lot of difficulties getting municipality approvals, Union Pacific Railroad approvals, et cetera. Been a few roadblocks there, but we're moving along. We got across Calhoun Street over the past couple weekends and are now moving across the parking lot of optometry and health and biomed. There's a planned outage to take out Lot 2A at Health and Biomed. It starts on Monday, and that will go until June 16th. We hope to improve that date if weather and work cooperates, but that's the plan right now. I believe that outage is out, and those users are hopefully prepared and aware of what's about to happen there. From there, we traverse across the rec field that's behind the rec center, heading towards Spur 5 and the railroad. After about 16, 18 months of trying to get approval from the railroad to go under the railroad and Spur 5, it looks like we're finally about to get there and get that work started. The underground work at ERP is essentially finished. At least the infrastructure, we still need to pull a whole lot of wire. But that last piece to go across the railroad, Spur 5, and that rec field will be starting in the next month or so and go probably through the summer. At that point, we will be more or less out of the ground and starting to pull wire to complete the substation work. Still a lot of work to do. Completion of the project is now forecast to March of next year, a couple months after our original completion date. That's where we're at on the status. Some of you know that we had originally planned an electrical outage in April. We bumped that back to the fall, and we are looking at tentative dates now for October 16th would be a momentary outage. At some buildings, it's a few seconds. At some buildings, it's a few minutes. It affects approximately 50% of the buildings on campus. These are similar to the outages we had earlier this spring, and we will be having meetings with those building coordinators as that approaches to make sure that everybody's on board with those outages. So we're looking at October 16th in the morning for a few minutes. That's front-end work for us to do some tie-ins at the substation. And then on the back side of that task will be about 10 days later. I think we're given a little cushion here for October 28th. Another morning outage, same durations, same impacts across campus. So we will, as I said, be giving out updates and have meetings about that as it approaches. But that's the same outage we were talking about in April this year. We just pushed it back to October. We're actually able to combine a couple outages by doing that, so a little bit less impact. We do have, in case of weather, a plan B to do that work October 30th and November 11th. If for whatever reason we can't hit that first date, that's our plan B. There's going to be another outage in September. We have a tentative date of the 16th. This will only affect the central plant, so you shouldn't see much impact across campus. We have to assess what the impact's going to be on chilled water, et cetera. Possible that there might be a temperature impact, but it should be brief, and I think we're going to plan that for Saturday. That's the update on substation. Carl, you have any other comments you want to throw out? Carl's been my main customer and technical advisor.
Covered all bases well.
Any questions on the substation? We got work to clean up along Calhoun next to the parking garage, and then we'll clean up along Health and Biomed. So improvements are coming. Any questions? Nothing? This is an outdated list of buildings that are going to be affected by that October outage. This is from the previous one we did, but the impacts are going to be the same. It's a long list. We don't need to go over it right now, and we'll get that published shortly. Quick overview of the map we're doing. The green work, underground work has been completed. You can see the rec field is coming up, and we are on hold with the railroad and Spur 5 work, but it looks like that's about to move forward. So progress is being made. Thank you for substation. And I'm going to jump, unless there's any questions, I'm going to jump to access control. So we had previously put out, which one of these do I want? We had previously put out notice about changing exterior key cores as part of the access control work. We've done some of that work. You can see the completed status on some of these. And we were running into some problems. I think our communication was a little off at some places, and you know, it's a lot of doors, a lot of buildings, a lot of people, and we didn't effectively get everybody informed. So we took a pause on that and are going to sort of start over on that and get out some additional communication. So we paused that work, and we're going to get restarted in early June. Based on this schedule here, I got Agnes Arnold, Science and Research, Graduate School Social Work, and then onward from there. So this work is done by the lock shop. They're going around to all exterior doors to change out those key cores to a new coring system. This is a good way for us to clean up our inventory, records, unknown keys floating around. It's really going to help on the security aspect across campus. We will not be doing a lot of distribution of those exterior keys, as this is a follow-up to the card reader installation project that we're doing. So your access to buildings after hours needs to be through your Cougar card. And if anybody's having problems with that, you just need to keep filtering those to us, and we'll take care of it. But that should be working out pretty well as we move along. We're still moving along with that card access installation. But here's the schedule. We're going to get this out and get it published. So this is just a preview of those dates. Yes, sir.
Does that include interior cores on exterior doors? In our building, all of the exterior access is bladed, but we have a loading door that's cored on the interior for certain people to be able to get equipment through at their own time. Will the interior core be changed as well?
That more school would use it?
Yes.
No, not the inside, just the outside. You'll still have access with your keys on the inside.
Okay, thank you.
But if you're talking about an atrium space that has 2 sets of doors, like on the back, I mean, if that blade's going to be changed out to new core, we're not going to be issuing those keys. I think I know the door you're talking about. I don't believe it has a card reader.
The big loading door.
Is there a reader on there?
No. There's a reader on the door next to it.
Okay, so you can get into that space?
Yes.
Yes.
But being able to lock and unlock from the inside so that we can get it right in and out.
So those interior keys will stay the same. Exterior will change.
I think we
we're about to electrify that door.
Okay.
In package 10, actually,
The exterior? I think there's already a reader there.
next to it.
Yes.
We're electrifying that up door.
Yes, sir.
Is there any planning to do some of the older buildings at ERP, like 23?
We will be going through ERP. ERP is our last package. This what you're looking at here is the schedule for the cores. ERP is on the agenda to do access control, card readers throughout, but it's our last package. And those dates are tentative right now. We had a pause with our contractor. We had some issues, et cetera, et cetera. We've worked those out, and we have restarted work on what we're calling package 10, which is it's this section, along with, we're also following back to a lot of buildings and adding small devices. So the list of work we're doing right now is quite a bit longer, but this is the section. Can you see that? Yeah. These are the buildings that are in package 10. Did I answer your question? It's coming up. I'd love to finish this someday, maybe before the end of the year. I'll let you know. Yes, ma'am.
After all the cores are done, will we reevaluate where card slides have been placed by talking to the building managers possibly?
Well, we try to do that on the front end, and please understand that we have a limited scope. It's fairly standard. Obviously, every building is a little bit different, but we are not putting card readers on every exterior door. This is a very expensive process. Typically, we're putting 2 readers on each door, and we target those at the logical and convenient places relative to parking or general traffic flow. So if there's a situation where you don't think it's in the right place, we can look at that. You're also free to add card readers as you wish at your department expense. So if you got a problem, let us know. It's certainly not a perfect process. We do the best we can with what we seem to be logical locations. So let me know if you have something specific in mind.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. This is the schedule for the exterior key core changeout. And please understand that this is tentative and subject to change. We will get started again in early June with these buildings.
So we have access to look at that to see when our building is.
Yes, I actually have some printouts over here. You're welcome to pick one up, and we will get this published out.
Okay.
And
See which doors are clean.
yes, we're going to be better about communications with each one of these sections has a group of buildings, and it's set up for a particular week. In advance of that, we will get out notice to those building coordinators so they can let their people know. There is going to be learning curves and a little bit of shock to some that they don't have keys that get them into the building anymore. This is a cultural change across campus. You really need to get in the habit of using your Cougar card access. This is policy, by the way, and Ron's going to come up in a moment and talk about new policy that's being rolled out. Anything else? This might be a good transition for Ron to talk about that new policy. I think I have it here. Again, this is draft. Ron has been working on this, so it's not finalized, but I'll let Ron talk about the nuts and bolts.
Good morning, everyone. So first part of this, just to second some of the stuff Dean said, the goal here on changing these keys is pretty much to help us make this convenient. The reason why we stopped is because communication is one thing, but there's a lot of people in a lot of buildings that don't have access, right? They don't have access, and that's really not on us because at a higher level, we're just designing and deploying and implementing the access control. We're looking for building coordinators and the users to ensure everyone in their building, they have their Cougar card and they have access to the building. So that's going to help us out a lot. I mean, we went to one building, changed from cores, and no one in that building had access to get in the door, right? There's just no way for my department to manage that and to know that someone doesn't have access. We are really looking for you guys to assist us in making sure that everyone has access to get in the buildings, because it's going to be very inconvenient when someone can't get in the building at 6:30 in the morning because we've changed the core out. So we are going to try to distribute some flyers and notifications, but we're really looking for you guys to assist us in deploying this system, because this is going to add a lot of security to our buildings, and this is our goal. Our goal is to make sure that you guys are safer and that we're eliminating and mitigating some of the risks that's out there that's possible to protect our students, staff, and assets. So we look forward to you guys helping us with that. Now, this document is in draft, and it had not been reviewed, I'm pretty sure, by Jackie or her team or anyone else. So there may be some things that I may say that you guys may disagree with, and please don't flood my emails with those disagreements. Just be patient with us as we work through this process. Right now I'm in the process of creating policy, procedures, protocols for the entire campus and the system campus for access control and physical infrastructure. So as going through this, I know that the convenient part for a lot of people is going to come into play. I will tell you that strictly that I'm not making policy based upon convenience. I can't do it, right? And unfortunately, that's going to give a lot of people a couple of headaches, and they're going to not sleep well. But I tell you, PMs work. Take an Advil PM, you will sleep just fine, I can assure you. But if there's some questions today after I finish this document, feel free to ask me now. But please don't flood my email, because again, I'm in the middle of an internal audit, so I'm very, very busy right now. so just work with me, and if you could, and I'll ask Jackie now, if you guys could send those questions that way, and she can filter those down to me, and we can work that out that way, because if I don't respond, it's not because I don't want to. It's because it's just me, right? And I'm working through this. So this document we're creating this document because we found the deficiencies in our department as related to having an overtone view of the access control department, who's responsible for buildings and who's responsible for users, right? So knowing that, and knowing that right now we're deploying a brand new access control system to fix some of the problems that we've had on campus, this is going to allow us to create a better credentialing process for logging into the access control system. So now we have single sign-on applications where your Cougar card, your Cougar Net ID will be the same as your login credentials. We are adding the system that will now allow us to propagate security protocols in a more efficient and effective manner. Right now, I could not state to you guys that we are where we need to be in the higher education environment for security. And so we're going to get there. We're going to get there real soon. We plan to stand up the new server May 1st, and we plan to begin the process of switching buildings over to the new system over the summer period. It will not have any direct effect on you guys until I come to your building and say, hey, listen, you will no longer have to sign into these applications. Everything now for you will be web-based if you assign access. There will be a huge hiccup. A lot of you guys use some of the system administration tools. You guys will no longer have the availability to use those tools anymore. We're going to now eliminate some of the ability for permission rights across campus, because we're just seeing too many changes in the system that should not occur, and that should be honestly going through our departments. But on that higher level, speaking of that, there's a lot of things that I've wrote in this document that are pertain directly to building coordinators and your responsibilities. Now, I know when you start talking about building coordinators and their responsibilities, that's a very, very, very dim and unpolite area. But I'm going to, I tried to use some of the things I were already told, when I got to campus of what the roles are for building coordinators, and I tried to institute those things into this document. So, again, if you don't agree with some of the things that are stated today, please send those emails to Jackie and her team, and they'll filter those through. It's a Gmail account. So the scope of a key to the access control project was to upgrade the building infrastructure to increase our security and public safety by deploying electronic access control, door status monitoring, security systems, and rekeying and perimeter access points to all major university buildings. This will allow us to add another layer of security for our staff, off-premise products and data. We provide 24/7 monitoring of these applications so that we can monitor door positions, we can monitor activity inside of buildings and so forth. So I'm not going to read all this document. One important thing, and I think Dean hit this, is that as we're deploying this access control, we're only picking 2 doors that we're putting readers on. You know, again, this is a very expensive project. So those 2 doors, we try to communicate with the building coordinators as well as the users in the building to make those decisions of where those readers are going. We're about 85% done, which means that we're 85% closer to being able to create a lockdown across this entire campus in case of an emergency, whether it's physical and or man-made. So that is in itself very, very applaudable, because there's 60% of universities across the United States are not even halfway there yet, right? And they hadn't even thought about this process. So that's applaudable for the University of Houston that we are actively trying to get to that point, and we're working very hard to get that. So the access control, truly, guys, is really based upon getting into the buildings after public hours, whatever that means. We're trying to define that as well. So after hours and weekends. So another process that we're going through right now is that we are actually setting up a proposal to the Board of Regents, asking them to bless us with creating a public hours across this entire campus, so that we can then begin to close buildings, secure buildings, monitor buildings, and respond to emergency events based upon the building and the controls of the building, which is something we have to get to. I understand it's going to be inconvenient that you have to take your card out your pocket and swipe it, and it's going to cost you a couple minutes of your life, but hey, it's going to secure the building. Go ahead.
So that's something you're taking away from the buildings themselves?
I am.
The ability to choose their public hours?
Not really. So I'm not taking it away from the buildings. I'm looking at events in the system. It tells me how often that building is being used, those doors are being used. If I give you a prime example, we have a building that stays open till 11:30 at night. The last class in that building is at 8:30. I have no understanding why that building remains open till 11:30. Everyone who should belong into that building should have an access card. That access card should give them their right to get into the building. It just doesn't do us. So I was walking the building the other night, about a month ago, about 12 o'clock at night. I walk the campus a lot late because I don't have anything to do with my life. And there was a homeless guy walking in the building. Guess how he got in the building? The doors were unsecure, right? We have to do our part to ensure that you guys are safe. And you guys have to help us in that by understanding that the decisions we're making, it's not to inconvenience you, it's just to make sure that nothing happens to you and we mitigate the risk, right? But leaving buildings open, I'm pretty sure a lot of people in facilities and plant ops and police will tell you how many homeless people they found living in our buildings across our campus, and the reason being is because we're not proactively looking for these people, so we don't know who they are. We can't distinguish one person who belongs here from a person that doesn't. They get in the building, they set up, won't go there. I was gonna be funny, but I won't do that. And they're living in our buildings, and so we have to do something to make sure that's not happening. It won't be, so there will be some deviations, of course, according to the building and units functionality. I mean, we're not going to say every building closes at 5 o'clock. There's no way we can do that in our environment, right? That's very obvious. We do that, we're really going to, I may be fired, right? So I'm not trying to lose my job in adding security. I just want to make sure that we understand that, for instance, we do not assign classroom schedules to buildings after 10 o'clock. Right? So why don't we have all buildings closed at 10 o'clock? Or if you don't have a class to 10, based off the semester, we close. So we have 2 options. We can actually lock the doors of the building 15 minutes after the first class start, but put those buildings in facility card mode, which means the doors are locked, so no one without a card can't get in. But anyone across campus who has a card can still swipe their card and get in the building. Once that class is over, 15 minutes afterwards, we lock the entire building. Now you have to have access rights to get in the building. It works. I mean, it truly works. And I give you a prime example at CV Store. If you guys know anything about the CV Store actually goes into facility card mode at 7 o'clock at night. There's still people working inside, but everyone across the campus can still go in the CV Store, swipe the card and go purchase whatever they need. But we've eliminated the ability for someone who doesn't have a card to get into that space. Yes, there's always tailgating. Yes, there's always a risk of that. we can't stop everything, right? But we can make you think, and we can also add some elements that will stop you from gaining access to make you rethink about what you want to do. Also, it also allows us time to have a response, just in case something was to occur. So, now, the building coordinators, as I see you guys in helping us through this process, have some very responsible roles in this, right? Because I don't know every building. I don't know every building user. I don't think anyone knows how many different departments we have across this entire campus, to be honest with you. I've asked a few people, and everyone keeps giving me a different number. So I'm looking for you guys to help me in two ways. One, understand the functionality of the building and allow me the ability to be able to program the system that supports that functionality. That's number one. Number two, we're looking for you guys to be the coordinator between us and the building. And we're looking for you guys to tell us who are the users in the building so that we can assign those users the permission rights to sign and grant and provoke access, right? Again, we don't want to tell someone they can't go in the building. That's not my job, right? But we want you guys to understand that the users in the building have that right to assign access, and we want you guys to make sure that they're doing that and people don't have these problems. I tell you guys, I get calls 24/7 about someone who can't get into a building. Saturdays, Sundays, in church. I tell the pastor to hold on a minute. I take this call. It's the university, So then I go pray for forgiveness that I didn't hear the word. So, help me, guys, get past these things that are very disturbing in my personal life. So the building coordinators may serve as a primary DAU, which is a DAU, and you guys will see this. And I'll get this document out to you guys once we get a final draft, so you guys can look it over. But a DAU is a department access user, right? So you guys will coordinate between the department access users to delegate those individuals in the building that should be the people who are assigning access. What that means is that we want you guys to pick two, no more than 4 people inside of a building that can sign access. Now, that doesn't work all the time because we know that some buildings have 6 different departments in them, right? But if those departments can agree that we're only talking about the exterior doors and they're only assigning that access unless they have some doors inside that are conference rooms that they don't want anyone using, then we don't need any more than 4 people. I mean, Larry, I've looked at this and I've looked at some of our buildings. We have 9 or 10 people that sign access in there. And that tends to overlap, and you have different people opening classrooms when they shouldn't be open. You got people sitting in classrooms when their classes need to start. And so it's becoming very convoluted and congested in that arena. And we want to eliminate that because we have a lot of calls of people who can't use their spaces because someone is already there. So if you guys will work with those building occupants to understand who needs to sign access, what private rooms they have, that helps us a lot in deciding and giving them their permission rights. The other thing is departments are responsible for controlling electronic code card access to buildings' perimeter doors, as well as all interior doors assigned to or under the department's control and responsibility. We want you guys to help us with that, but with the new system, we want to take that away from you guys, that responsibility. We want to set the system up where it automatically assigns someone access to an exterior building based upon their affiliation with the university. So students, staff, department head, whatever. That access should be automatically assigned, so there's something that we don't have to worry about. So if you're in Department of Engineering, then you should have all the exterior doors to the engineering building, right, assigned to you. Now, saying that, we have to have you guys tell us what that means. That means that if students should have 24-hour access to that building, then we need you guys to know that so we can ensure that that access level for that student, for all those students, is 24 hours. If you guys have administration staff who only needs access to 10 o'clock at night, we need you guys to let us know that information so we can program the systems to be automated and we're not missing anyone, right? So that's going to help me out a lot. It's going to help you guys a lot. We're going to eliminate a lot of calls coming in through Fix-It and through the police department. We're going to eliminate the process of having resources every night running to unlock doors and not actually walking around patrolling to secure the facility, to secure our perimeter doors and our campus. Right now, we waste more resource hours in PD responding to unlocks than they are patrolling. That has to change. That truly has to change. And so this is going to help us get to that point. Departments are responsible for all costs associated. Now, this is a big one that you guys, again, the users are going to talk to you guys about this. I don't really want those calls because this is a big one. I don't think the departments understand that they are responsible for the cost of repairs and of these access control devices that are there in their buildings, and that's associated with their departments, but they are. they're responsible for these costs. I'm not for sure how facilities bill those guys back, but we want to make sure this is a standing protocol moving forward. If we did it on the exterior of the building, that's us. I'm coming right over there. We're gonna keep that responsibility, but if it's internal to the building and it's on your department, then you guys are responsible for maintaining and repairing those devices, right? We just cannot consume that cost, guys. There's just no way. And right now we're deficient because we have not leaned on you guys to assist us in ensuring that these peripheral devices are fixed and repaired. So we're gonna get there, and this document is gonna help us get there, where everyone has a clear understanding that there's a separation between authority and there's a separation between responsibility between the facilities department and the department users. All right, so that's going to be a hard sell, I know, but I think this is going to be the best and the most appropriate way for us to fix these devices and ensure your card readers are working for your students, staff, and POIs to get in and out of these buildings. Now, I also decided that we will give an overarching responsibility for the DAUs, which are the actual people that are assigning the access. So I'm not going to go through that at all here, but this document will actually explain their user rights, what they should be doing. We have to clarify in our buildings what gives someone a right to have access to that building, right? Because honestly, guys, having access to a building is not a right, it's a privilege. It's truly a privilege to have access rights to get into a building, and we have to understand that it's not mandatory, right? So we have to figure out what that means. What does that mean to give someone access to it? Also, what does that mean to revoke it, right? So right now we have an automated process that if you're terminated, the access, your card is automatically deactivated. Well, we're going to set up an audit trail where the users are going to be responsible for sending those audit trails, those audit reports back over to us, so we can clarify that you guys are doing your jobs to ensure that these people don't have access anymore. There's just no way for me to run a query and know everyone who that's terminated, access is truly gone. We need you guys to help to do that. So I have found in the system multiple times where people were terminated and they still had access into buildings for 2-3 weeks afterwards, because we're not doing our due diligence to check to verify those people access have been taken. So we have to do a better job at that. So their responsibility is going to be running multiple different reports. We're going to do an overview audit of every department per semester to ensure that all the access is gone and access rights that people need are there. But I can't tell the users why they should give someone access. So we're going to send out a document, and we're going to ask the users to tell us what is the process for them assigning access. I'll give you a prime example. Animal Care is probably my best organization here that has a protocol and policies in place that give access. You have to meet multiple different criteria before they give you access, whether that be training, whether that be you are associated with a PI somewhere, whether that be that you've completed a tour with them of the facilities to understand where you can and cannot go. In order for you to get access into an animal care facility, you have to go through all that, and they verify it, and then they give you access. So we're going to have to do the exact same things, especially when we start speaking on our research areas. Our research areas are so unsecure. It scares me daily when I think about who has access to these areas and these spaces. So we're going to do a better job to securing those spaces. And our next project after the exterior doors is also adding access control to classrooms and laboratories. We have to get there, because we have to be able to protect you guys when there's a major event happening across campus. And we have to have places for you to shelter, right? If something happens, right? We have to have that. So that's the other part. Then the last piece to this is facilities management's responsibility. So this will outline the responsibility of the lock shop, their guys, and facility as overall. Now, we'll say this too. I know your hand went up earlier. The exception for the departments being responsible for the cost of card readers on their buildings, the exception is based off the facility being built. If the facility was built, and at the time that the facility was built, we added the access controls in there, then we're going to keep liability for it, and we're going to keep those up. But if you add it in your space for any reason, then it's on you guys to make sure you keep the repairs done and you manage the access. All right, so I should have an approval on the first draft within 30 days or so. Depends on the higher ups, how long it sits on someone's desk. But when I get it, I'll make sure I get it to Jackie, and then we'll figure out how to get it out to you guys so you guys can read it. Before we implement this, I will want to get feedback, right? I may be missing something. I don't understand the entire culture of the university. I've been here a year and 8 months, going on somewhere around in there. So a lot of the decisions that I'm making, guys, is based off my own personal knowledge and the information I've gained from working here. So I don't want to come in and say this is the only way we can do these things. I want you guys to give me feedback to help me ensure that I'm making the best decisions that's going to support you guys and your ability to be able to help secure this campus and our students and our faculty and staff. All right? Thank you, guys. I'm sorry. I thought I answered your question when you put your hand down. I apologize. Go ahead.
So, are they going to make the magnetic strip on the cards more durable? Or is the Welcome Center open 24/7 to replace that card that all of a sudden dies and the person can't get in the building?
Two ways to answer that question. One way to answer that question is, anytime you don't have a card, you can go to PD to get a new card. PD can assign you a temporary card where you can get in buildings. That's been in place since before I got here. Second thing is we're working with auxiliary services with Emily Massa and her team and the other system campuses to get new cards across this entire campus. These are smart cards, and these cards have multiple technologies inside of these cards. It's going to create a more efficient process for assigning the cards and also gaining access to these different type of readers. The problem we have across our campus is we have multiple different classifications of readers. We have dual purpose readers and multi-class readers. When you try to use a card that is associated with two different classes of readers, the swipe and the strikes and the proxy can't understand all that technology, right? So we're going to go to one card that has all the technologies in one. This card is going to allow us not only to be able to associate these with the different readers we have on campus, but it's going to add value to us as related to having an embedded chip inside the card that students can now start using this for paying for parking or even their debit card if they like. One card. One card will allow us to give facilities the ability, if they decide to go into a back neck operations with facilities, to go in and swipe their card and control the exhaust fans and things inside of buildings. It's going to allow us the ability to be able to have this card, or right now they swipe the card for their meal plans to pay for their meal plans. It's going to allow us to be able to have a better system that can track and monitor the card's usability. And also, we're also looking at even having the cards, the technology in the cards where we can turn these cards into a geolocation where we can be able to track people across campus in case of an emergency incident where we know where people are. And we can get, an emergency manager can do a better job at sending out specified information to a group of people based upon where they are and where the incident is occurring. So we're looking at a lot of different technologies to help support us and the ability to be able to provide a more effective way for you guys to gain access and for you guys to have technology that supports today's world and the market that we're in. So I don't look at 2 or 5 years away. Of course, we work for University of Houston, so you guys can deem that to be however you know the university works. But I'm looking to push this out within the next year. That's something totally. I gave you guys that information only because I know the technology, I know what I'm looking for. That's not something that's written in stone. That's not something that we've even discussed at a higher level, but that is something that I'm going to try to push to make sure that we do our due diligence and understand what that technology is, how it works in our. So every technology that comes out that you guys may read about or hear about will not work in the higher education environment. It just will not work, right? Near field communication. Right now, a lot of hotels are using near field communication to use their phones to gain access to their rooms. I don't think that works on our university, right? I don't think that giving someone the ability to be able to get into a very high secured area with their phone is conducive to us being able to secure that zone if something were to happen, right? So something I'm totally against. I won't ever get there. I'm pretty sure they just can't convince me that that works in our environment. So some technologies don't work. The ones that do, we're going to try to deploy those across campus so that we can ensure that we're doing the best thing for the university. Any other questions? Anybody mad at me? Okay, good. I like that. I like that. I kept friends. Good. All right, thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you all so much. In the interest of time, we have some door prizes, but we're going to do them all at the end. So now, so I just was announcing that. Actually, then we have Pia Agrawal is going to come talk to us briefly about, just give us an update on this miraculous project you've probably been seeing around campus, the yellow pieces of artwork. So she wanted to, the last time we met, they were rolling it out. It's now out, and so she's going to give us a quick update. Thanks so much.
Hey, I'm Pia. I'm the program director at the Mitchell Center. The project was installed over the course of 3 days about 3 weeks ago and was fully up to launch on April 18th, which was the launch of the Mitchell Center's Countercurrent Festival. So I have some images of people interacting with the work. We have had some wear and tear, some movement, you know, of certain pieces already, but I wanted to just show you guys some images. I also have printed maps, which are now on the website as well. So I know that this is affecting some individual buildings, but you could also see kind of the full scope of the work through these maps. We've photographed during the festival. A lot of these photographs are just capturing moments where people have been interacting. There's a decent response on social media. We're seeing a lot of students and professors respond to the work as well. So the project is interior and exterior. So I have a few different shots just showing kind of different ways that the pieces are installed. They all look like the yellow posters. They look very similar to this. We've had, you know, some of the more positive anecdotal feedback is there's a few classes in creative writing and Spanish that are actually integrating the project into their courses because there are a few Spanish language pieces. And then, of course, the piece was created by a writer. That's one that was translated into Mandarin. And that's the full map, but I can leave printed copies if you guys want to grab one. We're advertising that they're always available in our office during business hours, or you can actually follow the map on your phone if you want to navigate that way. We've also advertised a lot of the pieces, the majority of the pieces, I think about 34, 35 of them, of the 50 are exterior, so that if there are off-campus folks, because we do tend to get a lot of off-campus attention for this festival, they're being made aware that any interior pieces are subject to business hours at the university. That's it.
Did you have anything else? Oh, go ahead.
No. Does anyone have questions on the project? I'm happy to answer those. Thanks.
Thanks, Pia. We appreciate it. And it is fun to have things like this on our campus. If you notice a piece that looks like it's been damaged, you're welcome to contact Jennifer and I, and we can get the information to Pia in their office.
I apologize for this, sorry. How long is it going to be up?
Through October?
It's approved to be up through October 28th. And just to speak of wear and tear, you know, the budget is being fully supported by the Mitchell Center, so if we get notice from Jennifer and Jackie that there was damage to the project, we're handling that on a case-by-case basis with the artists because the scale is so different in the work. You know, some of it's that big and some of it's bigger than my arm span. So we'll take that feedback. You may see the work replaced and you may see that we're just deciding in advance of the end of the installation not to replace the work.
Going through almost the end of October, so you have plenty of opportunity to experience it and see it around campus. As I said, we would normally do a door prize. We're going to do some door prizes, but we're going to move them to the end. I'm going to talk on actually several topics here, but it's all sort of captured together, even though it shows myself and Liliana. The piece that Liliana was going to talk about was the service request. And we've talked about this before, but it never hurts to reiterate it. When you submit a work request, whether you do it online or you call it in, it starts out as an SR, as a service request. It's only, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it won't become a work order until it's been approved by the DBA. So just always, if you find that you've submitted something and it seems like it's taking a while, check with your DBA, make sure that it's been approved. You can always contact the call center, see what the holdup might be. You should be getting some emails now that we have a process in place that if your DBA has not approved something, you'll get the bill, as a building coordinator, you get an email kind of notifying you of that. You may not have submitted it, but if there's one in your building that, well, I guess it would be one that you submit, right? It'd be one that they submit. I guess it's any work request. Your building coordinator is told about it, right?
Initially, no.
No.
The first email is for the certifying signature. The reminder email.
The reminder.
will be The building coordinator, both primary and secondary.
Awesome. And it's been sort of a work in progress, but it's an effort. We realize you may not be the DBA, so it may not be being held up by you. But in most cases, again, as building coordinator, you can perhaps just shoot a quick email to your DBA and say, you know, I'm showing that this is still sitting out there. It needs to be approved. It may be sitting in their queue. It may have just been overlooked. There may be some other issue related. And we had a situation this week where one of the building coordinators had questioned why a DBA was required to sign for it, and it turned out it should have been entered as a service, not a billable. And so the good thing about these notifications is it's also giving you the opportunity, and we were able to get it corrected through the call center. So these are just some of the things that we're trying to do to help y'all be more engaged in the process and get your work orders in the system and get them moving along. The other thing we wanted to talk about is, just briefly, is so when you have special events, please go to the trouble to do a work request to have trash bins provided. We have a lot of the big bellies or the smart bins around campus, but the trash receptacles that we have on a daily basis are not really designed to take on the wear and tear of massive amounts of like food refuse or, you know, cups and plates, what have you. So you certainly can use them, but it's not. That's not what they're intended for. Our solid waste department has can bring out like roll-off dumpsters. We have some recyclable cardboard trash cans. We have a lot of options. So if you will go to the trouble to do a work request for special events for trash bins, we would appreciate it. The same thing goes with moves and events. We've been told that our moves and events department, quite often somebody will just call up Merlin or call them up and say, hey, we need to have something moved. Please do a work request, because if it's a billable, we need to make sure that the service gets paid for. The other thing is it helps with scheduling. It helps us know as we do trending data, then we know what to kind of expect. We actually try to be prepared when we know certain times of the semester are coming where there might be more events. But those are things that you can do that would help us. We appreciate it. Again, if you ever have any questions about anything, please let me know. Does anybody have any question about any of that? Liliana, did I cover everything you needed? Okay.
Jeff, just real quick, I'm sorry, is there something we can work with? I think this is more programming side than anything else. I know personally, when I put in custodial work orders sometimes, and I'm using the full system, I'm not using Fix-It, I'm not emailing, I'm using the actual system, and we're out of paper products, that will automatically come back billable. And then just sits for a while, where it's 9 a.m. and we don't have paper towels in a restroom. And/or we see that a classroom just needs vacuuming. It's been a couple of days, maybe they just oversaw it, maybe it was busy, whatever, just needs vacuuming, and we'll put it in and it'll come back billable. And we'll call and I'll with the SR, and they say, oh, we'll transfer that should be billable. But it seems like programmatically it's automatically getting noted as billable.
That's probably something on the famous system side.
Right.
Yeah. It shouldn't come like that.
Let me, I'll follow up with you, because it's something that we can get call center to help watch.
If it's something that you want done, I would call.
Yeah,
Because
just
then
call
that
it.
way you're telling someone the exact situation and they can do a push through on whether or not it can happen immediately. Whenever we're using the system, sometimes those are, for me, I do those when it's longer term and it's okay.
And that is true, but if you still, even when you call, if you happen to get some pushback and you don't think they're fully understanding, let me or Jennifer know, or Liliana.
Calling is, I call in to say I'm out of toilet paper, it shows up in the system as a billable, and they just push it through as a billable.
So let me do some, Liliana and I will look
It's
into,
important that we make sure that the system is updated, so if we're noticing things like that, we need to let them know so
Yeah.
they can update the system.
definitely. So we'll look, I've marked it down here, and we'll see what we can figure, because if you're, obviously, so we have 2 people who are experiencing that, so we need to look and see what's causing that in the system. Because Jennifer's absolutely correct. Calling is really quick and easy, and you're getting a live person right there, but if there's a aberration in the system, then even that, it may still kick it in. So then let me look into it, and then I can help notify the call center to kind of watch for those. Yeah.
I have a question regarding Famous. If I'm not around and Susan puts something through and it's billable and I'm not around, is there a way inside Famous to be able to delegate somebody else to authorize that, or how's that? Because we've actually had something that got held up because of that.
I don't think so, but because we trust you, you can just let us know. No, on situations like that, as long as we know we will receive a work order and the service request is in the system, we can just work with you. We'll provide the service, we will give you what you need, and then we'll get the work order and do the whole, get your money later on. But for billable work orders, if you're not around to approve it, then just let us know.
But
You can just send us the service request number, and email is working just fine.
someone that works in your area's business office is also probably set up as a DBA.
It's me, I'm a CBA, so it's essential.
But even, but somebody above, then you have, I mean, there's,
My associate deans and my dean.
That's an interesting, let me, again, this is great feedback, because let me look into it to see what we can, if there's anything that we can do in Famous, and maybe we have a backup and it would go to.
I mean, it'd be easy for me to just go ahead and say, Susan has authority during the week of such and such to do these type of things. She's good to go. I know again, I'm not worried about the billable parts, I'll take care of that afterwards if it comes up.
But it's keeping it,
But keeping the flow going if there's a problem.
We have the gentleman that can answer all our questions.
Just say, where is he? There he is.
actually, yes, Lawrence is here. Hold on, Mr. Price, just one second. Do you want to address it, Lawrence, or?
Yeah, so our approval process has, we have a list of.
Can you go to the front, please, so we can capture you?
So the question on the table right now, and we're waiting for Lawrence to come to the front, is, we've had some great questions, but it has to do with if the certifying signature is not available, what do we have in the way of backup?
All right, so how our approval process works is we have a list of certifying signatures, and we get this list from finance. Now, every department should have a primary certifying signature, and we also have multiple secondaries if they're listed on there as well. Now, only the primary gets the approval email that gets sent out whenever a billable work order gets submitted. But I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the secondary certifying signatures do have the ability to approve as well. They just won't get the email. But
How would they go about approving? If I know that I'm not gonna be there, I
Mhm.
can say, John, you're my associate dean, I can say, John, you're gonna take over while I'm gone. How do we tell, like I said, I'll receive the email, certainly, and I have access to things to go ahead and approve it. He is not familiar with things, and I don't expect him to be that way, but if that's the case, what do we need to do as far as secondary?
I mean, we can always temporarily reassign primaries, but if you don't want to switch back and forth, they just have to do the same process as you do. They just go and access UH. And
I'm sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, your name? Susan, I'm sorry, Susan. Susan puts it, you're gone. Right. If she's set up as a secondary, because you can designate who you want to be the secondary, correct?
Right.
Well, he's talking about, no. So you're talking about in finance has primary and secondary.
Correct.
Susan's not my secondary finance approval.
But can they manually add her?
That's what I'm asking.
Yes, so we do manually update it whenever they update theirs. So we have you know, it's not automatically, it doesn't sync. So you can always tell us that you want her regardless of, you know, if, you know, if you have their approval, you know. We won't do it unless we hear it from the primary certified.
Sounds like the best thing to do is if I know I'm gonna be gone.
Right.
To send you guys a notification that when Susan submits the work order through, that she has authorization to have that process go through.
You can do that as well.
And then you can set it up so that Susan could approve.
Mhm.
Because if you're feeding off the approval process, the levels, you're correct. She's not gonna be on that list, and I do not need her to be on that list, otherwise she has access to everything else. Which I know she can do it, but yeah, that's not gonna function.
Yeah, we can do that as well. It's really up to the DBAs what they really want to do, but we can always accommodate you guys. Yeah, so you can always you know, email our call center, just say for this week, just push it through, and we can do that.
So did everybody get that? So if you know you're going to be gone, you know, you're going to be gone for 2 weeks on vacation or something, and you're the certifying signature, it sounds like you can authorize someone. If you'll just notify, you can notify me and Jennifer. There's a famous email address that you can, or you can email Lawrence Dang, D-A-N-G. You had a question?
Really quick, if I'm being asked to approve work orders for cars outside of my scope and with my guard and who do I need to talk to get those pushed off the plate or assignment block or?
Yeah, like, that was part, I was gonna ask that question. So, as of a couple of months ago, my work orders were going properly, and then all of a sudden, one of the last ones that I submitted, with the job price, it was not even in my part. So there was like 3 stages of holdups, basically saying it's gonna be processed, and then finally he calls me and says, I'm getting your work orders.
Okay.
So is that why I have to work?
You can contact me and we'll get it straightened out. Is it still occurring, or?
Yes, it is also the code reports all, and then whatever it is also based on my work orders.
So we'll connect offline with y'all and see if we can figure out where in the structure, but thank you for bringing that up. So again, for the recording purposes, this is where one individual is getting somebody else's work orders for approval. If you have that situation arise, just contact me or Jennifer. You can contact the call center. I'm over the call center, and so sometimes having some of that information comes to me helps me understand why. I'm more interested in like the process and what caused that to happen. So you can always forward things to me, is fine. Anybody else have any other questions? If not, again, in the interest of time, you're more than welcome to like grab me after this meeting or at any time. So next we're going to have Mr. Court Stein come up here, and he's going to talk about the Farm to Work program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. So as you heard, my name is Court Stein, and I'm the Wellness Administrator through Human Resources for the Power Up Employee Wellness Initiative. You may be familiar with some of the programs that we've implemented over the past year and a half, whether it be Weight Watchers or the collaboration with Mike Guidry, the Art for Your Health Walks, flu shots, mobile mammograms, and so forth. Today, I want to share with you our latest initiative that I hope you'll be excited about. It's a collaboration with the Office of Sustainability, and we're hoping that you'll want to participate and that you'll help us share the word about it. It's called Farm to Work. We first suggested this idea about a year and a half ago, and we've been working on it ever since to get it implemented. And happily, we just launched it through a soft launch last Friday. And the plans are to have a hard launch in the fall once we work out all the kinks in the program. But it is up and active, and one will be taking place actually this afternoon. So what is Farm to Work? So Farm to Work is a program that brings fresh vegetables, fruits, and herbs to campus for employees and for students. And this is something that started in Austin, Texas. It's now in San Antonio, and it's now in Houston at a couple of different locations. So how does this work? Well, we've partnered with a local farm in the Houston area. So the produce is fresh. It's harvested the day before. We've partnered with Planet Forward Farms. It's a group of farms. And it's a really unique organization because they're designed to help refugees who have landed in Houston by teaching them how to farm this way and make a living wage by doing so. So this is an example of one of the shares that employees, students can get if they participate in the program, and I'll show you some more in a moment. So extra benefits, besides being very fresh and harvested the day before, it's grown using organic farming methods, so there's no pesticides. There's no ordering minimums. You can participate as often as you like. You can order as many shares as you want or not. It's totally up to you. And there's also a trade basket, which is a unique feature. So if you know the kids don't like broccoli and broccoli's on the list, you can go at the end of the trade basket and trade out for something else that day. So how the program works. So on Saturday and Sunday, the farmers go out in the fields, they look at what is potentially going to be harvested. They make up their list of what that's going to be, and then on Monday, customers are sent an email with the list for the vegetables that week, and a reminder that they can order. All ordering is done online. It's pre-ordered, so there's no exchange of money at the site of delivery. None of that goes through us. It goes directly to the farmer. So to participate, you have to do this online and in advance of the delivery. On Wednesday, the customers are sent a second last call, please order now, it's going to close. And then on Wednesday, it actually does close, I think in the afternoon. It says noon here, but I think at 5 o'clock p.m., the orders close down. Then on Friday, it's delivery date, and you simply show up, you show us your little receipt or your ID card, you bring your own bag, and you'll get 7 to 9 different produce products, and it costs $25 a share. Just something that we try to tell everybody too is that you have to pick up your delivery. If you fail to pick it up, then it's considered a donation to the farm, and the vegetables are given to the volunteers that day. There's no way we can store it for you and hang on to it for you. So, resources. So if you wanted to order, you could do that right now. You could go to uh.edu FTW, which stands for Farm to Work, and orders. And there you'll find our website, and it'll go on, and you'll find a list of the vegetables that are going to be available. It's closed right now, but it will be refreshed on Saturday or Sunday with the next coming week's vegetables. You'll also find recipes there. So, for example, we had a dandelion last week, and a lot of people don't know how to cook dandelion or even what to do with dandelion or even knew that you could eat it. So that was a little bit interesting, an interesting produce there. So delivery is every day, every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m., and it takes place on the west side of the Welcome Center. So it's that little side street between the Hilton parking garage and the Welcome Center. You can see by the map right here. And Office of Sustainability sets up their students and staff man the distribution from 3 to 4, also with volunteers, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. If you have to drive, we have people from the ERP, we recommend that you park in the parking garage. The first 30 minutes are free instead of lining up along the street. So that's one thing that you can do. And if you're interested in volunteering, we'd love to have you. We have the students working the table, but we also like to have staff people there as well. So if ever you're interested, you can notify Melissa Halstead with the Office of Sustainability, and you can sign up to work Friday afternoon. It typically starts about 2 o'clock to set up and then ends around 4. It's not hard. It's actually a lot of fun. Roderick was with us last Friday, had a good time. So I encourage you to do that if you're at all interested. Here's another share, 1 week, an example of what you might get in your bag when you come. And the contact for this program is Melissa Halstead, who's with the Office of Sustainability, and we'll be implementing this. So any questions about the program? Okay, well, I hope you participate. Hope to see you there one Friday. Thank you.
Thanks. We're going to go out of order just a little bit. I believe Mike Guidry is going to come next and talk about the art conservation projects, and then next up will be Mr. Price for food services contract.
So I can just use the, yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm going to make this quick because I have to get to a meeting soon, and I'm sure you're all starting to daydream. So I'm the public art curator for the UH system. I work all 5 campuses, soon to be 6 or 7. So we are coming up on our 50th anniversary in 2019, so we're launching a lot of enormous kind of initiatives, and one of them is conservation. So we just started that process, I guess, back in November, with assessing mainly all of the outdoor sculpture on campus, because that's what gets the brunt of the weather and the deterioration and the interaction of people. So some of those projects have actually already started. So we're starting here on this campus, and then we're going to move on to the other campuses. Like I said, it's a system-wide project. So one of the first ones that was done was our Jim Love piece called Landscape with Blue Trees. It sits in the courtyard between the 2 engineering buildings. This is kind of some before pictures. The piece was installed in the kind of the mid to late 80s. Jim Love was a pretty well-known and much beloved Houston artist. So the trees, the paint job on the trees is starting to deteriorate, a couple of chips on the beak of the bird. The last paint job, which was done about 10 years ago, was beginning to flake off of the previous paint job. So you can see sort of dirt accumulation, a nice banana leaf. So overall, structurally, it's in great shape, but the paint job is really what kind of needed some work, and the site itself is kind of getting dirty and moldy. So Robert Marshall, who's a conservator that we hired for this 2-year-long project, so he erected this scaffolding and tinted the whole site in the courtyard, and the trees were power washed. So luckily, he was able to blast off the entire last coat of paint, which revealed the previous coat of paint, which was a significantly better product. So it actually saved us from having to repaint all the trees. So when everything was cleaned off, kind of miraculously, it revealed this great paint job that was done long before. So all they had to do was come in and do touch-ups. So luckily, that project only lasted about a week. And very excited that that's done. So there's the new bright, shiny, clean trees.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So if the undercoat was in great condition, do we know why it was painted on?
The second paint job was done with a kind of an inferior paint. So now we know not to do that and what we should be doing. So, lessons learned. So moving on to the Met Mullican, which is on the south side of, one of the science and,
Houston Science.
Yes, the Houston Science Center, sorry. I get all the science buildings titles confused. So this is kind of one of the most unobvious pieces of art in the collection because they sit on concrete slabs and they lay flat, so you don't look at them upright like you do most things. So there's these 3 black granite pieces that sit on these concrete slabs. So you can see over time all the concrete is getting moldy, so water was being sucked up through the concrete, like concrete acts like a sponge, and it was sort of being trapped between the granite and the concrete, and was creating this kind of mold that would then just sort of seep out onto the sides. So this is happening all over every one of the pieces. And this kind of sealant between the granite and the concrete was beginning to deteriorate and pull out. So all of that was removed, and everything was cleaned and washed down, and our conservator has found this product called D2 that's like this miracle thing that you spray on concrete and stone, and it just sort of very safely removes all this algae and mildew and all that kind of stuff. So they were all cleaned up, the granite was scrubbed, and so there's some of the cleaner versions. And then after the concrete was clean, we kind of discovered all of those sort of strange variations in the concrete, kind of natural discolorations and weird things that happened when the concrete was poured. So a kind of a concrete skim coat of wash was put on them to kind of clean them up a little bit. So there's a very freshly done piece. And we also, you know, kind of discovered that the skateboarders love one of these pieces as well. So they've been kind of wreaking havoc on really one edge of one of the pieces that you see when you come out of that kind of south side back door. So they've chipped the granite, they've done these, you can see the scrapes of the aluminum wheels of the skateboards. They've also greased the edges so they can slide along them a little bit better. So those things are being taken care of. And in the meantime, if you've noticed over there, there's a temporary fence around that one that the skateboarders love, and that's actually sadly gonna have to stay up because the conservator has now finished the project and he does not want his work to be undone. So we are working with a landscape architect, which I just found out this morning. Our contract is finally going to go through. Thank you, Dean. And to do some sculpture site enhancements around campus, we're kind of focusing on about 14 pieces of art in the, you know, what's called the Arts Corridor. So it's basically the northwest corner of campus around the School of Music, Fine Arts Building, and everything just along the south side there. So we've identified a handful of outdoor sculptures that need some kind of site enhancements. It's nothing significant. It's just treating the areas immediately around the pieces of art to just make the overall site a much better site. So, for example, what we're doing at the Matt Mulliken, you can see like around this, no, not that one. Sorry, this one. This is the one that the skateboarders are wreaking havoc on. We're going to come in and actually remove some of the concrete that immediately surrounds it and just replace it with grass. And we hope that that's going to be just sort of a deterrent for them. So it's not going to be a huge impact on the site, but it'll help protect the work. So moving on, the Art Guys piece, this is just 99.5% done. So this is a piece that was a shot that was taken, I guess, just last year. So you can see the bronzes are starting to deteriorate and patina. The top of the wall is getting this kind of algae and mold growth. So this is it just as of about a week ago. So all the bronzes were cleaned up. The wall was washed down multiple times with that product D2 that I mentioned before. So it almost looks like the day it was installed. It's pretty great. And so the concrete foundation was also scrubbed and cleaned. All the bronze was cleaned and polished and waxed. So we're excited to see that stuff happening. So two projects that are coming up. He's started on the Jim Sanborn, which is over here in front of the library. He started the cleaning process on that. We also just found out that between December and last Saturday, it was sideswiped again by some kind of a vehicle. So this is the second time the sculpture's been hit by something. Luckily this time it wasn't as bad as what happened 2 years ago. But it's a busy area, and I don't understand, there's still plenty of room around this sculpture to drive and walk, and yet still it gets hit by something. So he's also starting to do research and kind of tests on the Lawrence Argent piece, which are the big gourds. It's mainly the bronze checkerboarded one that some of the black patina is beginning to fail. And he's also doing some research and getting bids on the Lee Kelly fountain that sits on the edge of the big fountain at E. Cullen. So those are some of the upcoming things. So that's all. So everything is happening outside, and I just the other day actually finally saw a list of who all the building coordinators are. So if I think there's something that's going to be impactful and you should know about, I'm going to try really hard to make sure that everybody knows what's happening at their building. Because when we were doing the Jim Love, we were out there one day when it was tinted, and we hear a voice from upstairs saying, "When are you finishing?" We said, you know, Saturday. And she said, "Oh, great, because I have a huge event happening Monday." So I'll try to be good about this and make sure everybody's aware of what's going on. So, any questions? No? Okay. Thank you all.
Good morning, Farish Hall. My name is John Price. I'm the Program Director for Dining. I hope you all enjoyed the food today. If you didn't, please direct all your complaints to Rosie Ashley in the back of the room. She'll be happy to take care of you. So I'm going to try and make this brief. I know we're coming up on time. So we are going to discuss a little bit about the reorganization of auxiliary services versus university services. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about the RFP as well. So auxiliary services, we currently cover, we've been separated out from the card office and parking as well for the meantime. We cover dining, bookstore, vending, both the Coke and the canteen vending, and the lease agreements. So T-Licious, McAllister's, and the Marines. And we give the Marines a lot of space. And so our goal, Rosie and I, is to make sure that all of our contracts with these organizations, so Aramark, Coke, Canteen, what have you, are being enforced both on their side and our side, really trying to provide a much better product to the university stakeholders. So currently in our food service portfolio specifically, we have about 44 operations on any given day. You can see we have 13 food trucks, a juice cart, among other different operations. So our current dining contract, I'm sure a lot of you are curious about. I actually have a 600-page binder I'm going through right now of all our bid responses. And then our finalist interviews are actually on May 3rd. On May 3rd, we'll be doing our grading right there as soon as the interviews finish up. We present to the Board of Regents. Our anticipated award date is May 19th. And then early July, we'll have a new contract. So we currently have 3 respondents. And so it's Aramark, Sodexo, and Chartwell. And we'll see what happens. So far, we've gotten some great responses, some really interesting stuff. So with our new contract, we're hoping to enhance student satisfaction. We're going to create a student engagement commons, which I'll get into here in a second. We're going to, like I said, monitor our contract compliance. Rosie and I, that's all we do is contract compliance. And then we are also developing a 5-year pro forma, so there's less shooting from the hip, more strategic planning within these contracts. So the new contract, we're implementing a 24-hour student engagement commons at Moody Towers. Increased Wi-Fi, increased power. We're putting in some soft seating. Possibly we're doing print kiosks, convenient printing. So the idea is that it's much less of a transactional relationship, food for money, and much more of encouraging students to treat it as their living room, right? A place for them to study, a place for them to come and see their friends, in conjunction with a 24-hour access, unlimited access meal plan that we're trying to push as well. We've seen that it increases retention, graduation rates. It's just a phenomenal program. We're really hoping to push that out. We are also hoping to address food insecurities. And we're, with my position in particular, we're hoping to include the Food Service Advisory Committee and the SGA much more in these operations. Questions? All right. If you could raise your hand, is the building coordinator for PGH and Campus Rec and Wellness in here? No? All right, never mind then. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up. I'm sorry. We're going to go ahead and do the last presentation. Jeremy, I see Jeremy coming, and Carrie, hi. They're going to talk about Cullen Performance Hall, and then we'll do our giveaways.
Be really fast because you're waiting to get prizes. I understand. And I probably don't need this mic. I'll probably hurt your ears. Sorry. How's everyone? Ready to leave? Okay. So you might recognize this building, right? Everyone who's a visitor to campus thinks it's E. Cullen. It's kind of the front of E. Cullen, but the doors are the entrance to this building, the Cullen Performance Hall. So if you've not been, you should visit. If you have been, you should still visit because the seats are clean now. It's exciting. This is the interior look of the Cullen Performance Hall from a show, John Cleese and Eric Idle. It's a little dark, sorry. But it's a theater. So just wanted to point out that if you've not been in the building, if you see the building with a big red banner, that's where we're located. That's what a lot of people wonder, well, how do we get there? Come to the big red banner. We are on lockdown most of the time because I'm the one staff member there. So I can't sit by the door. So if you do need to visit, come talk to me or get swipe access to our doors because we don't, have key access, right? Oh, they're all gone. This is the interior in case you were wondering. We do seat 1612 full house in our building. So if you're looking to book an event or maybe have a large staff gathering, talk to me. We can rent you the space. We can rent you the space because we are a full auxiliary here on the campus. We do not receive any income from the university or from any fees. So it opened on Halloween, 1950, and it was built as a radio hall. So if you imagine the old radio shows, they would perform them live on stage, and then they would be broadcast out with a live audience. So that being said, in 87, 88, the Cullen Foundation helped with a large renovation. A lot of that was to transition the radio hall into the theater, which means they changed the sides of the theater to what you see now, which is the more acoustically sound sides, whereas before it was built for a radio and it absorbed a lot more of the sound. Then in 2001, we had this little gal come over called Tropical Storm Allison. So if you might remember her, she dumped quite a bit of water on our city and in turn helped the Cullen to receive a small renovation at that time because the water did come in the building, but it came into the balcony of the building. So there was some water renovation happening there and some ceiling work. And in 2016,
in 2016, we moved forward with the renovation. The primary driving force behind it was to actually get the building sprinkled. There was not a sprinkler system for life safety throughout the building, so that was the impetus for kind of launching everything else. We shut down the building for what ended up being about 6 months, primarily again for the fire sprinkler system. During that time, we changed out all the soft goods on the stage, which hadn't been changed since '88. We made some updates and repairs to the fly rail system so that we could be in compliance with code and being able to operate safely. We installed a new fire curtain, got rid of the old cut the rope system, went to a system that has a fusible link along with a motor on it so that we can do adequate inspections as needed. We did a thorough deep cleaning of the theater seating and a deep extraction of the carpets following the sprinkler renovation. Though they protected everything, along with years of use, there was a lot of dust accumulated that got into the seats that we did a clean afterwards. We repainted the stage. We did a deep overhaul of the dressing rooms, whereas before they were not very aesthetically pleasing or comfortable. This is a before picture. This is an after. We could not renovate and move walls, but everything inside, from a fresh coat of paint to new carpet to overhauling the countertops, the lighting.
You can send those pictures if you want.
and bringing some of the electrical aspects up to code. We kind of just did a complete overhaul of the spaces.
One thing to note, our dressing rooms are actually located in E. Cullen. So they have a different HVAC system, they have a different plumbing system, so whenever those building things come out that affect certain buildings, I always have to check my schedule because, for example, we got one that said the water was going to be shut off on a Saturday, but all the dressing rooms have water and the toilets need flushed at a dance recital with a bunch of little kids. So I was like, whoa, we can't have the water shut off. Or if it gets really hot in the dressing room and the theater is freezing, there are two different HVAC systems. So I use the Fix-It often to help to make sure that that's aligning. Oh, and then here we are. So if you're interested, if you say, I have no idea what's going on in Cullen Performance Hall, I would encourage you to check out one of our social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. If you don't like the social medias, please feel free to check out our website at uh.edu/cph. Please come visit. If you want to visit and do a walkthrough, you're welcome. And if you want to book the space, let me know. Any questions? We have two events this weekend. If anyone wants to see Brandy Carlisle tonight, there are just under 100 tickets left, and then tomorrow's Jesse Cook. So if you have an interest in guitar music, that would be awesome tomorrow. And we do impact the parking lot 1D. If anyone parks there, I'm sorry. But our loading dock is there. Thanks. Thanks.
Okay, as we get the door prizes ready, I had two quick announcements I wanted to do. The new way to contact Fix-It is fixit@uh.edu. We had an old account that was called, it was CSC, for I think Customer Service Center, at central.uh.edu. It has been taken down. It is no longer functioning. If you send an email there in an effort to get hold of the call center, it will bounce back and tell you that it's not recognized. So it's just always now fixit@uh.edu, and it's fixit with no hyphen. The other thing I wanted to tell you quickly is we've been working to make the outage process so much better. And one of the things we're doing is incorporating a longer lead time for outages to come out. And we've had some success with the sciences, NSM, and research by giving them a 2-week lead time. And so we are slowly working through our department to have people, unless it's an emergency, to actually present outage notifications to us 3 weeks in advance. That's not just for our benefit, but it's to let the building coordinators know that when you get the email that says this is good for you and your users, then we want to give y'all plenty of time to actually post it, send an email out on a listserv, and then get some feedback. So those are just one of the things that we're trying to do to make the outage notification process. It certainly makes it easier on Jennifer and I, because then we are getting less at 4:59 on the day before something is going to happen. Again, if it's an emergency, that's a different situation. But the planned outages, we are trying to really get everybody some additional lead time. So that's all I have. Before you go, we're going to do some giveaways. So everybody have your little ticket. Yeah.
Sorry, I had one question. I got here a little late. It might have been covered under number 2. Did y'all address the fireworks issue? Do y'all know that there's a fireworks issue? Does anybody here from athletics? During the baseball game and before the baseball game, they were testing fireworks, and it was the day after the tornado alarm, and we had a lot of students and faculty who did not think it was fireworks. They went running for their lives quite literally. So if athletics could communicate that information out, it also happened then I believe the next evening at a baseball game while we had an event in the Opera House, and we didn't run out of the building. We weren't necessarily concerned. We kind of did figure out it was fireworks because we knew it was a baseball game. But if that information could go out, like the siren test or like the parking impact, that would be very helpful to students, faculty, and staff.
So right now, Friday evening baseball games are the fireworks protocol and includes them.
Okay.
But maybe we can, if you can work with us, Jeremy, so that we can get that information out, because we don't want to scare people. And inside a building, percussives like that can sound, well, you don't know what it is, so, or outside. There is one last week, Jennifer brought up, you want to tell it? I've talked enough.
So basically, our solid waste crew was talking to me about the fact that they experience emptying the large dumpsters in the back of the buildings, and they have articles and items in there that are not meant to be in the dumpsters. So we worked with them to design these adhesive stickers that are going to be put on the dumpsters to help communicate to the users of those dumpsters to make sure. We just wanted to show it to you to let you know that these are going to be put on there. Yes. And there's different ones, so we'll double check before we install anything with each of the buildings to make sure that these apply to some of them. These are the ones that our crew empty with their own truck. And so they had car hoods put in there, they've had crates put in there, and it breaks the actual truck because it's not meant for those items. It's meant for items that are normal waste that go in a regular garbage can. So I'll double check before we install to make sure we get them on the right ones. Thank you. So any questions on this? And
You'll notice a definite theme. It's very similar to our big bellies, to our smart bins, because we wanted that sort of a continuous message. And when she says crates, I know there's also been like construction trash that's been put in them. So this is not just something that's aimed at the campus, but it's for like all of us and all of our contractors. And it does, she's right. We were told that it actually broke some sort of the grinders inside, and there was a car hood. Who did that, I don't know. But this is just an effort to try to be better with our resources and hopefully not break expensive equipment. Okay, so we have 3, correct? Okay, so the first one is 32473. Yay! 32458. 58, awesome. And the last one is 32513, 513. Ooh, cool, yay! Thank y'all so much. We went about 6 minutes over. This was a full morning. We appreciate y'all coming. If there's more food up there, grab something before you go. Thank you. Have a great weekend, and you'll see us in 3 more months.